this week's Three Legs Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Sean.
Chris.
Lee.
How's all our bank holidays been going, seeing as we all got the extra day off work?
Well, not good, actually.
Oh, really?
He had a phone call at 5:45 this morning from the police.
Not good.
Oh.
I'm a registered key holder of my work.
What's that got to do with Sting?
I'm wondering what it's got to do with Ghostbusters. Who's the gatekeeper?
I'm the key holder, not gatekeeper. Come on. Because I'm the only one who lives in Douglas who's got a set of keys. And basically somebody was caught trying to break in.
Yeah.
What, to nick some blinds?
No, well, there's not to go into it too much, but there are so that you could probably make quite a lot of money if you wanted to. Not blinds, but other stuff. Probably, anything you could take from any other shop.
So someone was trying to break in, and the police rang you because you've got a set of keys. So basically, the police were in cahoots, and they wanted you to come down and help out by letting him in.
No. They'd already arrested him on suspicion of theft, and I had to go down and make sure nothing was missing. And I said, well, the building's alarmed, and the alarm's not going off. So I don't think he got in.
It feels like something that probably could have waited till a slightly more social hour.
So at like 5 to 6, there I was trying to open up my work. And but as soon as I opened the door, I was like, oh, great. Managing director was clearly here on Saturday because he's cleared everything up and I can't tell if anything's missing. I had to call colleagues of mine at 6 a.m. just saying, look, have you borrowed anything over the weekend? Because I've noticed that there's something missing. And it turns out one of them did. And I was like, no, he hasn't got anything. It's fine. Let him go.
I had a kind of similar-ish debacle during the Australian Grand Prix where I got a message from a colleague to say that a door at work that's never locked was locked and he couldn't get into the studio to do the 7 o'clock news. I was like,
no.
Well, I don't have a key for it. I can come and break it if you like, but I don't have a key. I don't know how to fix that. So that was unhelpful. But he found someone with a key.
I mean, if the door's never locked, why would you have a key?
Well, that's the thing. No one knew that door locked in the first place. We all assumed there was a dead body in there. Very surprised to find out it was just the cleaner actually doing one thing that's not on his list for once.
Which, like most office cleaners, cleaning would be on there. I'm not saying the ones in our building are terrible, but they are. Where were we? Miami, then.
This is things happening this weekend.
It is the first ever Grand Prix of Miami, not the US Grand Prix, which is still at COTA. So
yes,
this is completely separate. I'm getting a kind of Sochi vibe from the track because it's round a stadium.
Somebody's rattling the microphone and it's rumbling quite a lot.
It's the cat.
Okay.
She's
she's
on patrol.
Thankfully, it wasn't one of the podcast mics, but so I don't have to edit it out. But no, Dizzy is looking to pick a fight with anything and everything.
Okay.
Which at the moment is a bit of paper.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I've seen the circuit. What do we all think of the circuit? I mean, you're saying it's giving you Sochi vibes. The layout doesn't look that bad. It looks far more thought out than somewhere like Sochi or. The other one I could liken it to was the one in Korea, which was, concrete walls, high fences, long straight, twisty bits, long straight.
Yeah,
it looks more well thought out than that.
I'm just looking to see who's actually designed this one. Is it a Tilker or have they got somebody?
Oh, I don't know.
I think
He seems to have been quiet, doesn't he? Lately?
He does seem to have gone a bit more quiet. Yeah, I think if they'd gone more with the sort of work with what you've got, because it's sort of in
like
and
Imola.
around. Yeah. But yeah, the teams themselves seem to think it in the simulator it's been quite lively.
Yeah, and the drivers have reported that it seems quite fun to drive. I suppose it depends on what car you're in. If you're in a decent car, you might think it's quite fun, but if you're in a car that's going to be towards the back end of the grid, then yeah, you're probably not going to enjoy it as much.
Oh, it's Apex Circuit Design.
Is it now?
Who I've never heard of.
Right.
Are they owned by the Miami Dolphins?
I don't know because I've never heard of them, so I'm looking.
Is the circuit dolphin shaped?
No, but the British.
Oh, are they? Okay, I was going to say that sounds like a very American.
It sounds like a
name
sort of.
for-
It sounds like a name when you're just like, oh, I need to name this company something. What are we doing? Circuits. What do circuits have? Apexes. Shit, that'll do. It feels very panicky name.
Oh,
Maybe
I
we'll
love.
get them on to talk about it. Maybe we should have got them on tonight. Who knows?
Yeah.
Should have
I
thought
love
about
the
that, shouldn't we?
idea that they're a shell company that's basically there to launder money, and all of a sudden someone's called them out and they're bullshit and they've had to do something.
Like, oh Christ, we've got to build a track now.
Well, we were going to get them on.
Yeah, I'm looking at other circuits that they've made, and the Iceland Motor Park,
Don't know it?
No.
the Dubai Autodrome, heard of that one?
Yes. Yeah, no,
Um,
Dubai Autodrome.
Zhejiang International Circuit, Hampton Downs,
Keep going.
Kimi Motorsports Park, which I assume is the Kimi Ring.
The Kimi Ring in Finland.
Yes. The Sydney Motorsports Park. There's a lot of Australian ones here. National Autodrome of Nicaragua.
Oh. Maybe that's who's listening in El Salvador. It's next door, isn't it?
Yeah, possibly. Yes, hello El Salvador. We found out we charted in the podcast charts over there this week. So yeah, it's a circuit designer that appears to have done quite a variety of permanent and temporary circuits worldwide, but not Tilke, which is possibly why it might even be exciting.
Well, it's weird because if you look at, I don't know if anybody else has got the map up in front of them, but like you got the start finish straight. Turn 1, 2, and 3, whatever it is, look fairly standard. A little bit, unexciting, should we say? A bit. I don't want to say boring because that sounds like I'm putting it down already. But then you got some really fast turns after that, which look a little bit like Beckett's complex. So I'm wondering. I'm wondering if it might get a bit, it might be quite fun to watch. It might not be. It might be one of the most boring races we've ever seen on a really bad circuit. But we don't know because we've never raced on it before.
If anyone has got the map up, I'm getting it looks like a giant wood plane.
Right, hang on, I've still got the list of Apex circuits. Let's have a look.
You could actually level off some 2x4 with this.
I think I'm perhaps looking at it upside down to you.
I'm getting
I see what you mean.
staple remover.
Yeah. I see what you mean about wood plane. Yeah, the nice ergonomic handle at the top there.
Yeah. Yeah, nice little flat blade on the bottom,
Yeah. But I mean, all the way from, if we've all got the map open, we may as well talk about it. All the way from like turn 7, or as it tightens up there after that Beckett's complex, it's pretty much, it looks a bit like Saudi Arabia almost. It's kind of flat out but not straight.
Except for the big straight.
Yeah, well, all the way to the twisty bit, and you got a twisty bit, and then a big straight with a hairpin, which you've got to get right to get because it looks like it's flat out again from the hairpin until turn 1. So whilst it does say it's 19 turns, it's not 19 corners, really, is it?
No, I think that's the thing. What actually is a turn?
Yeah, it's definitely fewer braking events, isn't it?
Yeah, much like Saudi Arabia, I can only see 3, maybe 4 heavy braking zones.
Do we know where the DRS is?
I'm guessing it's going to be on the start-finish straight and the long straight at the bottom, and possibly that
maybe
back
the other
straight
one.
as well.
There's a third one being proposed on the map I'm looking at on the
right.
shorter straight, the start
Between
finish.
turns 8 and 9, or between turns 9 and 11?
9 and 11.
Okay.
Sort of
I
just
think-
after 9 and then through 10 to 11.
What a great segue into Porsche joining Formula One.
Damn it, we should have done that bit later.
Should have done.
Yeah, then of course sort of the twisty, turny, slow section where the really expensive boat seats are.
Where's that? Sorry. What turn?
That's
Turn
going
11.
to that's going to
16.
that's going to be it's in turn 12, I think.
Right. Okay.
The aptly named The Beach.
Okay.
I mean, if you're paying that kind of money for the tickets, because I can't imagine the boats are going to be cheap. Not when
If you're paying that much for tickets and it's called The Beach, I'd expect. I don't. Oh, fuck! I forgot his name. Doesn't matter. The joke's gone. Fuck it.
David Hasselhoff.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
No. Yeah, I was going to say I'd expect him to come with the ticket.
Bit personal, that isn't it, Lee?
He might be a massive fan. You never know.
I'm too old for him.
But the general standing admission tickets were about $2,000. About $2,000.
It does seem quite pricey to go there. I mean, we'd love to. I know that we've got long-standing listeners who are in South Florida, but I haven't actually contacted any of them to see whether or not they're attending the Grand Prix. I'm sure they would, given the chance, but I know tickets.
Dave and Mac, if you are, let us know.
Yeah, and also Nick as well. So if you're in that area, then you're not in the area. You're obviously in the area. If you're going to the race, let us know and how it goes.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, this I think they've got a 5-year deal for this. So
5?
Yeah, isn't it? Or is it more?
I don't know. It's interesting though, isn't it? Because this is the. It seems a bit premature to give it a 5-year deal straight off the bat. You need to make sure it works first, I guess.
Well, we all know how well the long-term deal for the Vietnam Grand Prix went.
Yeah, it's a 10-year deal.
Absolutely. Yeah,
is it 10?
10-year deal.
Jeez.
That's a long deal for something that's not tried or tested yet.
But we're stuck with it.
Yeah, but so you're definitely going to have Miami, Circuit of the Americas, and Las Vegas for 23. So 3 Grand Prix in the US. I was watching what's it called? Trevor Noah. He had Daniel Ricciardo on his show a couple of days ago, and Trevor Noah said, "Look, when you first came on a couple of years ago, I had to explain to people what Formula One is." He said, "But now, do you get recognized in the street?" He's like, "Yeah, pretty much." He's just like, "It's exploded pretty big over here." So it's fantastic that Formula One's finally breaking into that market where everyone in the US seems to know at least a little bit about Formula One.
Yeah, I mean, I think having American
whether it's sustainable, yeah, but is it sustainable long term though? Having 3 Grand Prix, that's a long thing. 10 years for Miami.
Mm-hmm.
That makes you fear for Circuit of the Americas, which is one of my favorites.
I don't think they'll be getting rid of Circuit Americas. The investment that's going into Texas at the minute is fucking unbelievable. Same with Florida. There's like 1,000 people, 1,000 people a day. I think it is that are going into Florida to move there. There's these.
There's a lot of people retire.
But these places like the Florida and Texas are very desirable places to be at the moment. So I don't see either of them going anywhere.
Yeah, I think the only concern for races in the US is if Vegas turns out to be a little bit crap.
Yeah, I think there's more chance of Vegas falling off the calendar, I think, than either Circuit of the Americas or Miami.
Yeah, maybe, but it's just 10-year deal for Miami, a circuit we haven't tried yet. And then you've got how long? I'm guessing it's a multi-year deal for Vegas as well.
I am in the process of Googling this.
Yeah, we don't know whether or not how well this is going to work. I mean, there were even questions over, was it 2020 when? Yeah, of course it was, pandemic year, when they brought back some circuits that hadn't been to, either for some years or never went to, in cases of like Mugello and Portimao. There were question marks over that, or it might not work because of Formula One's never been there. Turns out it was fine because they're circuits that have already been built for other racing. This is a brand new circuit purely been built. Is it called the Miami International Autodrome, despite the fact it's only being used for Formula One?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and as soon as Sunday's finished, the circuit gets ripped up and then they put it down again next year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's weird, and I don't know that that's the right way, because even Sochi is there full time, isn't it? I mean, when they're probably never going back there ever again. But even Sochi is there all the time. Albert Park is a car park in certain places because it is a park. But this, it's just like I've seen like on the video. There's like tennis courts in the way, so the cars are going to be racing like between tennis court stadiums and like around obviously the Miami Dolphins football stadium. It's just a bit.
I'm guessing that's a stretch between turns 8 and 9 called tennis courts.
Isn't Baku
Yes,
similar though, in that part of the circuit is cobbled the rest of the year?
Yeah, between the castle, I think it is, isn't it? Isn't that cobbled?
Yeah, I think they
and
have.
They actually tarmac it for the race, and then they rip it up again.
Yeah, they spend about 2 or 3 months setting up just for the race, and then rip it all back out, which is kind of mad. 3-year deal for Vegas, by the way.
Hang on a minute. They spend about 2 or 3 months setting the circuit up, and then they just rip it apart. We have this every year.
This is true. This is very true.
Yeah, but the circuit and the Isle of Man TT is always there.
And it's the only roads that get repaired. And that was tonight's Max Politics section.
To be fair, even those roads don't get repaired that well these days.
No, you do have a point.
It's going to be a slow cycle lap when they come back in June.
On a quad bike.
Yeah. On a bus, probably.
Yeah, I mean, prediction-wise, this is going to be a, wet your finger and see which way the wind's pointing.
It looks, on the face of it, very power dependent. The only real elevation change is from turns 11 all the way up to 16, where it sort of goes, apparently it goes uphill and then downhill again a little. Or the other way around. I can't remember what they said now on the video that I watched. But it looks power dependent. So you would imagine that would lend itself more to Ferrari at the current state of affairs than Red Bull. Although, as we've seen, you can never really count Red Bull out of anything, can you?
The twisty bits might be nice for Red Bull, though.
Yeah, between turns sort of 4 and 8, and then that later section. But there's a lot of fast. There's a lot of fast bits, shall we say?
Yeah, I think a better prediction is how much will Mercedes suffer
On those massive long straights? I'm thinking badly, but aren't they bringing a massive upgrade?
According to Andrew Shovlin, yes, but this is the same upgrade they were going to bring to Australia, and it didn't happen.
Yeah,
and Imola, and it didn't happen. And then they said Barcelona, and it didn't happen. And then Hamilton has a rubbish race in... Well, it says it didn't happen. We haven't had Barcelona yet. But then Hamilton has a rubbish race in Imola, and it's like, oh, no, we might even bring something to Miami. But I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything official.
It seems strange to bring a massive update to a track that you have just no data from.
I think the argument would probably be made that the sims are so good now. We've seen it in the past, haven't we, with going to new tracks people have never been to before, how quickly the cars are on the pace. It's not because the drivers are just picking it up easier now. It's because they've got so much more homework they can do before they get there.
True.
Oh yeah, but I mean, Mercedes, it looks like the sim didn't highlight the porpoising problem for them.
No, I think there's a big probability that when these cars are being built, every team has obviously found some sort of porpoising. But in the same way as like McLaren, for instance, I think maybe were slightly off the pace because they didn't when they were looking at the numbers, they're going, oh well, that looks really good, and they just didn't expect the other teams to get the downforce that they've got, which is, instantly knocked them back a bit further. I'm wondering whether that was the same with the porpoising. Teams knew there was going to be this sort of thing, but every team that was testing their car independently thought, well, everybody else is going to have this issue as well. And Mercedes just didn't realise that Of all the teams, they're going to have it the worst.
I learned from watching a video as well on the upgrades that teams have brought so far. The Alpine had terrible porpoising in the first test, but had dialed it out by the time they got to the second test.
Yeah,
and they haven't suffered from it since.
They couldn't use DRS because of it in the first test.
Yeah, if you remember, was it Ocon and somebody at one of the Aston Martins going down the straight? It was just a very short, obviously, because there was no video clip, was there, from the first shakedown, should we call it? but porpoising like hell until it must have been Bahrain. Porpoising like hell right at the end of the straight, and it's just like, oh my god, these cars are going to shake to pieces before the beginning of the season. But then they haven't suffered from it at all since the beginning, and McLaren, as Lee says, haven't suffered from it really. Ferrari do suffer from it.
We will find out this weekend, though, if McLaren have fixed their brake overheating problem. Because, they didn't have it in Imola, but it's going to be a lot warmer in Miami. And they've struggled in the warmer races that we've had so far with it.
Well, they weren't too bad in Australia.
Yeah. I'm willing to say I think McLaren had like a couple of different issues that they knew what they were and they could identify them, because that's the thing. Although McLaren came out of the gate and they looked terrible, they looked fucking wonderful, as we kept saying in testing. So I'm not worried about McLaren not being at least the fourth best car, maybe third best car.
I was going to say who are they in a fight for third with?
Mercedes. I think Mercedes is still on pace during a race. During a race, I think the Mercedes is still quicker than the McLaren, if all things are equal. The biggest problem Mercedes have got is they're qualifying. You know, I think if they could qualify up there with the McLarens, I think they would be fighting the McLarens.
It's good. I don't know. I'm nervous for McLaren about this one, but it's a complete trip into the unknown. All
Yeah,
round.
totally.
And of course, with it being in the US, we got a much later start. Qualified at 9 o'clock British time. Race at 8:30 on Sunday British time.
This is tricky for me because I have an early alarm, so I normally have like my cut off at 10:30. So they better get on with it.
Oh, that's the point. Is that NASCAR race finished yet? I think they were on the 15th caution when we gave up.
Nah, the snooker's on. The snooker's on.
Yeah, the snooker is actually going quicker than the NASCAR. That should not happen.
Is snooker still on?
Snooker is still on.
It's still going. Ronnie O'Sullivan's one frame away from winning. Spoilers.
Is this the final or is this the?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have this problem every year because they always have the final on the bank holiday Monday, usually when we're recording. So we're watching one of the slowest sports on the planet while talking about one of the fastest. Shall we do some silly season conjecture, because this appears to have started in Spain?
Fantastic. Yes.
Well, it didn't.
Go
yeah.
on.
It was Albert Fabregas, wasn't it? Fabrega. Don't know how to pronounce his name because I'm so used to Cesc Fabregas. So,
it's Fabregas, singular. There's only one.
Yeah. But or is it Fabrega or Fabriga? Or I don't know. Anyway, him. He's really good at explaining things in Spanish Formula One. But Spanish Ted, essentially. He says that he knows of a driver swap that could happen mid-season because of one driver. I think it's an unhappy team and driver combination, but he can't say who it is or what they've been offered because that could make the whole thing collapse.
Williams are swapping Latifi for a driver?
Well, maybe, but the smart money there would be Oscar Piastri, wouldn't it, coming in to replace Nicholas Latifi? But that wouldn't be a driver swap; that would be a replacement. So who would your driver swap be if one team, like a Lacey Frentzen in what year was that? 2001, 2000. If you've got that swap, Who do you think is the likely candidates to swap seats mid-season?
I mean, with it being a Spanish journalist, the prime suspect for me would be Alonso.
Ooh, someone like Alonso and Vettel swapping seats.
Alonso Vettel, Alonso Ricardo, maybe.
I don't believe Alonso would leave Alpine to go to Aston Martin.
If they keep giving him a car that doesn't finish, he'll probably leave to go somewhere if there's an option.
I think it's been luck, though, isn't it? Because that car looks pretty quick.
And if Alonso leaves Enstone, he'll come back in a couple of years anyway.
True.
I think it could be Sebastian Vettel, one of the drivers.
Well, this is the best thing about a conversation like this is we have the opportunity to pretty much upset every single fan.
Yes. Let's do all the combinations. One of us will be guaranteed to be right, and in the process, we'll set some hairs running.
But Lewis Hamilton is swapping with Charles Leclerc because Ferrari don't trust Leclerc anymore.
Two people most likely to leave Formula One are Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel. They are the two people right now most likely to retire.
Yeah, that's fair.
Age and car dependent.
Yeah, but if they're talking about driver swap, they're not talking about retirements. So
you talk about a swap only has to be a driver swapping teams. I don't think this is going to be a driver swap around like Ricciardo to Williams and Albon to McLaren. I think this is going to be a driver leaving Formula One or retiring, or taking a sabbatical. That's possible. A driver replacing said driver from another team, and obviously that'll open the door for somebody else to come into a different thing.
So we've got Piastri and Hulk on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hulk might benefit from this massively. Piastri, I'm not sure about because he's there, but I don't.
He's probably the next driver, isn't he? He's probably favourite for a seat if one comes available. Yeah.
If he's got something lined up for next year, I'm not sure whether that said team would want to throw him into a car halfway through a season. I think this all revolves around Lewis and the upgrade and whether.
Every time he gets on a conspiracy theory, his internet cuts out.
He's back.
You have to do that one again. We lost you.
I think this revolves around Lewis Hamilton, and if the Mercedes can be fixed this year, because a little bit of me wonders whether Lewis even intended to drive after this year. Because I think he might have walked away from Formula One if he'd won the World Championship last year.
I can't see Mercedes changing. I think it's going to be further down the grid.
Might not be up to them.
That's the thing. If he wants to go,
yeah, that's it.
How many times have you seen Lewis Hamilton, of all people, Lewis Hamilton, having a vocal argument with their manager in a garage? I've never seen Lewis Hamilton look so uncool than when him and Toto had that exchange in the garage.
Yeah, we don't know if it was an argument, don't we? Do we?
It looked argumenty. It wasn't like what you're having for teammate, was it?
Toto's denied it was an argument, so there's a damn good chance that it was.
Officially
what
denied.
What do we always say in this podcast? We always say, never believe anything until it's been officially denied.
Exactly.
This rumour's come out, and the only driver that's felt the need to come out and say they're not retiring is Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah. But
is
that
an official denial?
I think so. I think it's official denial.
I can possibly see Vettel walking.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is definitely Lewis. I think Vettel is there as well. I think Lewis is in an uncomfortable position that I don't think people accept. I know he's done great things with Mercedes, and I know he's been part of that team for like many years, but he's got arguably the toughest teammate he's ever had. But it's the opposite way around from what he had with Alonso. Only he's on the Alonso side of it, because like, George Russell is Toto's Lewis. We know firsthand from speaking to the man how integral Toto has been to George getting to Formula One. We know how he was involved in his junior career. This is all Lewis and Ron stuff. So, there's a bit of we saw how Toto was upset, when Valtteri couldn't do the job, because you could see he really wanted Valtteri to do the job, and I think it's an uncomfortable situation for Lewis if all of a sudden the team boss really wants his teammate to do well.
I mean, it might be that he's throwing a strop because he's not the full-on golden child anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Which ever since he joined Mercedes, he has been.
Yeah.
I mean, they got him to replace Michael Schumacher, for God's sake. All right, it was a Michael Schumacher that maybe shouldn't have made the comeback when he did.
Yeah.
But it was still Michael Schumacher, who at the time was recognised as one of, if not the greatest of all time.
I think maybe Schumacher did better back then than we think he did. When you then looked at what Rosberg did against Hamilton, I think if we'd have known Rosberg, who was going to be almost a match for, on paper, the greatest driver of all time, I think the comparison between what Schumacher did and what against Rosberg might have looked a bit different.
I mean, all right, they certainly didn't have the all-conquering car back then.
Mm.
But I don't know. It's a tough one. I think Ronnie O'Sullivan's just won the snooker, by the way.
Oh, is he? I'm on iPlayer, so there's a bit of a delay. It's looking good. He's 45 points ahead on my screen.
Ah, right. I won't spoil it for you then.
No, it's fine. Yeah. See, do you think there's a chance that Lewis has somewhat bought into his own hype? In the way you sometimes see sports people like Prince Nassim Hamed's a good example of this. That was unbeatable, like dominant in his weight division until he was beaten once. I know Lewis has been beaten before, but never after such a run that he had. He had such a dominant run before there last year when he was fighting Max. And I think it was the first championship he's ever really fought with somebody where, I saw someone the other day trying to say that the Red Bull was clearly a better car than the Mercedes. I think you could flip a 50p to decide who was the quickest car, when they got to the circuit. In most cases, it was a difference in paint color rather than pace. Do you think he's got himself in this position where maybe he thought beating Schumacher's record was a foregone conclusion? Because that could be quite difficult to manage in your own head, and then you get a bad car, and then you get a teammate as strong as George Russell.
I don't think so. I think we saw how much it meant to him when he actually won 7.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's thought for. I don't think any racing driver for a second thinks that anything's. What's the word? A foregone conclusion. Nothing's written in stone at all whatsoever. And even if it is, it can very, very quickly be blown apart and rewritten again. Just look at what happened at the end of last year with Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton.
No, we won't. Too soon. Too soon.
Yeah, it's going to be too soon in 10 years' time. But it doesn't change the fact that it happened. I think basing this off of what Lewis and Toto had in exchange in the garage is a bit silly because Lewis had a helmet on, so you couldn't see what he was saying. It was after a red flag, which meant that he couldn't get a lap in to get to the next. It was Q2, wasn't it? I think did both Mercedes go out in?
Yeah.
So red flag, which meant they both went out in Q2. So it could have been anything. Yeah, it's going to be heated because they're not where they want to be, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's an argument. Hamilton could be on his way out, but I don't think that's the road that this rumor is following. I think it's a swap between two drivers who are already on the grid, who are going to be swapping teams, much like, as I said before, a Lacey Frentzen 2000, 2001, whatever that was.
It's just a question of who. Maybe no. I can't. I was going to say maybe Latifi Schumacher.
Does that fix any problem?
Schumacher further back down the grid.
The large hole in Gene Haas's wallet with the amount of money Latifi's bringing with him.
Is Latifi bringing more than Schumacher? Schumacher's bringing about 10 mil, isn't it?
Latifi's into the 15s.
Who's
but
benefiting
Latifi's
now?
spinning it every week.
Yeah. Yeah, he needs that for his repairs.
I mean, the thing is, yeah, he's been it, but he's not crashing. He's not crashing out of the race. He might be locking up and going wide or something like that. But
You reckon Pierre Gasly?
I'll tell you what, though, it could be Schumacher and someone, because that Haas we know is good for Magnussen looks kind of average for Mick. It could be someone like a Gasly.
You'd be a brave team to sack Schumacher. You
Not
would,
sack,
though, wouldn't
it'd be
you?
elevated.
No.
Yeah, he'd be elevated in inverted commas. But he'd be.
Did you know what Mick? All right, I'm on a conspiracy train now. Right, Mick and Gasly. So Ferrari have obviously just signed Carlos Sainz to an extension. Leclerc isn't going anywhere, so Schumacher is not going to Ferrari anytime soon. Does he jump ship from Ferrari entirely?
Does he swap with Guan Yu Zhou?
Interesting.
Would they want him?
I think if you were swapping Mick for an Alpha, you'd want Bottas.
But
I don't know.
But
I don't know why
Bottas
you'd
seems
want...
to say that they built the team round him, so I don't think Alpha will be letting Bottas go.
I don't know why you'd want Schumacher.
Money.
Maybe, but I'm not sure. I don't know what it doesn't feel like it did, and I think this is mainly because of the budget caps. Don't forget, most teams now would probably spend a little bit more money if they could to try and develop their cars a little bit more. It doesn't feel like the pay drivers are needed quite as much as they were in the past. So I think that puts people like the Latifi on a pretty short career life from now on. I think results would be better. I think like Alfa Romeo, for instance, if they said Guan Yu Zhou looks okay, and if I had to put a team together, I'd probably pick him just over the few results he's done, than over Schumacher.
Yeah, because I mean, now that the Haas is better, we're still waiting for Schumacher to come good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
It doesn't seem like it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's it. The Haas is better with Magnussen.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
It just shows, doesn't it? If we hadn't have had if we hadn't have had Magnussen come in and what's his name disappear? I've already forgotten.
Mazepin.
Yeah, we'd never know how good that car is.
No, we
wouldn't have a clue.
We'd be saying, "Oh well, at least it's better than last year," and they're not last anymore.
Yeah, well, wouldn't they be? Maybe.
Who knows?
Yeah, at least they're in a fight with Williams.
I think Schumacher and Mazepin could seize fucking defeat from the jaws of victory at any point.
Don't forget, Haas have actually been good at that, usually with tyre changes.
Yeah, it's good, true. And walls.
Yeah. And another Haas. Talking of which, I see Grosjean was getting ripped into in Indy this week. Graham Rahal thinks that he's too aggressive. It was a knout of a pass. I think I think Rahal's just not used to other aggressive drivers on the track.
He drove into him, and then he drove into him again.
That feels wrong. Not gonna lie.
The first one looks like an accident, just genuinely cocked up his braking point, and then they're side by side on a straight, and then Grosjean drives into the side of him.
Standard.
It's not good. It's a little
That's our
bit.
hot hands.
It's a little bit Vettel in Baku behind the safety car, but at race pace.
Standard Grosjean behaviour. Yeah, Grosjean apparently is back in F1 this weekend as well because his F1 experience is bod at the Miami Grand Prix.
Oh, that's a nice experience for someone then, isn't it?
Do you like fire?
I was just going to say, let's hope he doesn't give them his last F1 experience.
While also we're on the subject of the silly season, Joe Saward has said that McLaren are looking to replace Ricciardo in 2024 with Colton Herta. If that's the case, Herta had better get a bloody move on because he's nowhere near a super license yet.
Because I think you do get enough
as well.
super license points if you win Indy, don't you? But
Yeah.
there's not a huge amount in the runner-up
Yeah.
prizes.
Yeah.
I hate this. I hate this point system, especially like if you're a top line IndyCar driver and you let's just say, but you haven't won the World Championship or the Indy Championship, like you're still driving like a comparable formula to Formula One.
Yeah.
Let them have a fucking drive.
Yeah, it does seem strange because I mean that is really the only other open wheel series that compares to it.
Yeah, I would argue that if you're, let's say you're top five, you're in a car in the top five in LMP1, for instance. Even that, if you're in top end motorsport, I don't think we should be in this position. You know, it's different. A driver that's in a top team or top manufacturer that's fighting for wins and championships. That's different than somebody coming from European Formula 3 straight to Formula 1.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. It's comparable, as you say.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, having an ability bar to get into F1, all fine and good, because, you know, that means we won't get to see another driver of the caliber of Ricciardo Rossit, for example.
But we won't get to see a young driver the caliber of Max Verstappen again either, so that's a shame.
I think Max was a complete outlier, though, just by being that quick from the off. I've no idea, and you'd have to go back and look at results and stuff like that. It'd be interesting to know whether people like the past youngest, you know, like Jensen was the youngest at one point. Vettel was the youngest. I wonder if they would have technically had the super license points to race. Well, no, Jensen. I know Jensen wouldn't because he came from British F3.
Yeah.
So
that's a real shame. If it's hard enough to get into Formula One as it is, and like gatekeeping it with some sort of point system as well.
Yeah, I mean it should be down to experience and ability.
Maybe we just
know,
have a point system for the children of oligarchs. Maybe they're the ones that need the point system. If Daddy can buy a team, then you need to prove you can drive a car.
Yeah, how's that working out at the minute? Well, Stroll's improved a bit.
He doesn't deserve to be in Formula One, but he is clearly a good racing driver. I think that's what we can say.
Yeah, I think that works.
Just quickly before we move away from silly season, like one word answer around our imaginary table. Which driver goes in the driver swaps?
Oh.
I can't give you a one-word answer because
Oh,
I've got two
so
drivers. Yeah.
well, if you think it's a switch, I don't think it's a switch. You say but who goes?
I think
Give me the scenario.
I think it's probably Ocon and Vettel or Gasly and Ocon.
I think if it's a switch, I definitely like the fact that Gasly is involved, but I'm not 100% sure who with. If it's simply someone going, Latifi. That is not a one-word answer, though.
Latifi goes, Ocon replaces him, Piastri replaces Ocon.
I think.
What's
Mercedes
Ocon
is
done to Alpine to get booted to Williams?
He's not pleased, is he? That he's
not being Oscar Piastri for starters.
Yeah, he's not happy, Esteban Ocon, that things aren't going 100% his way, despite the fact his teammate is
A notorious diva.
Fernando Alonso. Yeah, yeah, because obviously the French driver in the French team, I think he thought that was it. But it's
It's only one upgrade though, isn't it? It's not like he's getting all like Alonso's getting crazy like extras.
No, they raced each other quite closely as well in Saudi.
Yeah. I think Alonso's involved. I think if the Mercedes doesn't improve, Alonso's going to go to Mercedes on a this year and next year contract.
That would be wild.
Yeah, and
but I quite like it.
Going to melt.
Yeah, I want to be on Twitter when that goes down. Jesus Christ.
Right then. So, coming into Formula One, though, rather than speculating about Oscar Piastri, VW Group, Audi and Porsche are both going to be signing up.
Yep.
What was it? Porsche as an engine supplier, most likely with Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
And Audi,
still unconfirmed.
Still unconfirmed, but the board have approved it. And Audi as a team, which apparently they are trying to buy the way in by buying one of the existing teams. Now, they've already had an offer from McLaren knockback, if Twitter is to be believed.
Yeah.
And
I think that's pretty much confirmed, isn't it? That's pretty much confirmed that they came knocking and McLaren was like, not today.
I wonder if this is Red Bull's opportunity to finally get rid of AlphaTauri.
Aston Martin is meant to be the front runner. Apparently, Stroll wants out.
Didn't somebody say that? Somebody said, I think on this podcast may well have been Sean last week.
It may have been. I lose track.
Saying that it was the smart money was on Audi buying Aston Martin, and
this is not an original rumor from me. I stole it off someone on Twitter, but I can't remember who.
Oh yeah, we all steal our rumors. I don't think if we ever started a rumor. No, we have never started a rumor. Nothing to do with the Icelandic Grand Prix.
I was going to say, apart from the Icelandic Grand Prix, and we only just found out tonight there's a circuit in Iceland.
They've been listening to us.
Designed by Apex Circuits, or Apex Circuit Design. The other rumour about this, of course, when they come in 2026, is they want all German lineups for both their supplied teams.
Because we talked a bit about this
last
week.
Back to last week.
Yeah, there are no Germans.
Yeah,
there aren't any.
There are none.
And it looks like that rumour was completely true.
Where are they getting their Germans from?
Germany.
Well, clearly not.
So Vettel will have retired. Hulkenberg will probably have retired by then as well.
Hulk's never going to retire. He's going to be the permanent super sub.
So that leaves you who exactly? Mick Schumacher?
Yeah, Mick Schumacher. You might have to get Pascal Wehrlein back.
Ralph's son.
Not happening.
David.
No, not happening.
We had this last week. And David Beckman. No.
Beckman, who's not, neither of those appear to be very good because they've had to find, harking back to last week's episode, they've had to find seats that people have not been able to fulfill in order to race.
But it does look like everything that we said on last week's show is actually coming true, which I think is a first for us.
Oh no, that means Nico Rosberg's coming back.
Oh.
No, there's absolutely no chance of Nico Rosberg coming back. I'd love that. That'd be great. So you can give him a beige suit.
I was going to say, does that mean there's going to be one of the two new teams is going to be beige?
I mean, maybe.
Hugo
like-
Boss sponsored Audi team just in beige, and the race suits are beige, and the boots are white.
Oh,
There'd have
if
to
we
be.
can,
It's Rosberg. There'd have to be a snazzy belt in there that's totally out of place.
Could bring
if we
back
can
Nick
not have Hugo
Heidfeld.
Boss, if we can not have Hugo Boss sponsor German teams, doesn't work out well.
Sponsored Mercedes for ages.
There wasn't an all German lineup though. Get Toto in as team boss as well. It's not ideal.
Even though he's not German.
No, he's Austrian. That's the point.
Yeah, I fell short on that one. So it looks like come 2026 we're still going to have a 20-car grid because I don't think Audi will be forming their own team.
Sauber has also been in the mix for the Audi takeover.
Yeah, I mean they've extended with
I
Alpha.
mentioned that last week too, didn't we?
Yeah, they've extended with Alpha for another couple of years. But
It's just naming rights, though. That's all it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's a possibility. Well, just be interesting to see what these new Porsche engines are like. If they're any better than the last time Porsche was in F1. When they were that bad, they got renamed Tag Heuer.
Well, they've already got one, haven't they?
1982?
They've already got one ready to be sort of improved and changed slightly to fit, because they had one dyno tested for the last time that Audi was talking about coming into Formula One.
If it's there, I mean, obviously under the new regs, it's going to be pretty much the same as it is now, just without an MGUH
Yeah,
and stronger regen as well. But that's just I would have thought that would just be a bigger MGUK.
yeah.
Quite possibly, because the 2026 engines are going to do, 50% of the power through the hybrid system?
Ooh.
No idea.
No, I'm not sure about that.
Which, no, it should be quite a bit. You never know, we might get the hybrid-only pit lane speed limiter.
Yeah, the electric power.
Yeah.
Electric power through the pit lane, or behind safety cars. I thought somebody might be doing that when they locked the engine brakes down for this year. But upon talking to Scarbs, it's not quite possible with the way that they work.
I'm sure it's only a few years off. You never know. I mean, we're 4 years away from the new regs coming in. Do we start making the jokes now about the 2026 regs if they happen, or when they happen in 2027?
No,
because we
not.
did that about 2021, and
Look what happened.
yeah,
The world
don't
burnt down.
accidentally start another pandemic.
yeah. I'd rather not go through all that again. Although talking about things that did get put off with that, just a shout out to Dan and Mrs. Dan to be, who third time lucky are getting married this summer.
Good luck, guys.
Because we've been at New Year's parties with them for the last couple of years, and stroke of midnight, New Year, we're getting married this year, and they've said it at the last 3.
It's not ideal.
We will get him back on the podcast at some point.
Yeah.
Right.
If he's not on a special mission.
We're not allowed to talk about that. Have we got anything else? Because it's with it being a preview show, there's not. I suppose we should do some form.
We
of
should probably do some.
We should definitely do
predictions for Miami, really, and then I think that's about it.
Okay, my first prediction is we're all going to be sick of the sight of Pitbull by FP3.
Oh, that's a very good prediction.
Is Mr. Worldwide going to be there?
He always is in Miami, isn't he?
He was on.
Oh my God! How can he always be in Miami if he's
know.
Mr. Worldwide?
He was sponsoring a NASCAR tonight.
Was he?
Yes.
I thought it was Kid Rock.
Oh no, that was the inside of a different car.
Oh.
Pitbull was on the outside. With his.
Do you think he's just been drafted in to replace Will Smith?
Well,
No, any time there's like an NFL thing going on there, he turns up. Yeah, he just seems to constantly be available for appearances at your sporting event in Miami.
Wouldn't be able to mention Michael Massey around Will Smith, would you?
No.
Keep your race director's name.
So yeah, that's my main prediction. Also, the thing about Pitbull, he looks like a chauffeur and the main character from the Hitman games.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
Although somebody, I think it was Jana, described him as looking like a naked mole rat.
That's a bit harsh.
It is.
Look at the
But
photo.
funny.
Look at the photos.
Yeah.
It's pretty accurate, actually.
No one's disagreeing.
No, I do notice that. But anyway, yes. Top 3 predictions. So
It's fantastic that you can Google Mr. Worldwide and straight away it comes up Pitbull.
What a boast that would be.
So what are we going for in the top 3 then? Who's going first?
I will go first. I will go for a Leclerc win, Verstappen second, and I'm going to go for a Norris third.
Ooh. All right. I'm going to jump in next. I usually end up going last. I think a Verstappen win, Leclerc second, and I keep cursing Carlos by saying he'll do well. So I am going to go Perez third, and then just watch Sainz run away with the race. Who's next?
I'll go next. Or
oh,
unless
sorry,
you
go
want
on.
to go lead, don't mind,
No,
whatever.
No, go on, mate.
I'll go Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell in third.
Ooh. Keeping up his run of being in the top 5 at every race so far this season.
Well, it does look like it might rain, which does lend to the Lando Norris potential good result as well. However, somebody's already taken him, so I'm going to just go with George Russell being the other British driver, because British drivers tend to do quite well in the wet.
I don't think I have exclusive dibs on Lando. If you want him,
Well,
you
I
can have
don't
him as well.
No, I don't want to go the same, because if you go the same, all you're doing is matching somebody else's result. I'd rather do worse.
And
See-
again, something British are usually good at.
You've done my
Doing worse.
Yeah.
you've done my guess.
Have I?
Yeah,
See,
that's
now
what I
you
was
have to
gonna
go for
with.
something totally different.
Latifi? Schumacher?
No, there's different, and then there's insane.
But there was that time where Lee predicted Sorokin, Stroll, and somebody else on the podium.
Mainly because he went on holiday and forgot to leave us his picks.
Correct.
Yeah. Right.
I think it was Alonso, the other one that we gave him, wasn't it? Just to get some Lee in there.
Possibly.
I think Max is going to win the race because I think he's the best driver in the best car. I think
There goes the mailbag.
I think Leclerc proved me right last week, and he's going to continue to prove me right as long as pressure's on him. See, I think it's going to be Verstappen, Leclerc, and I was going to put Russell third. So we'll go Verstappen, Norris, Russell. No Ferraris involved.
No Ferrari.
Wow.
You see, on what looks like a decent Ferrari circuit as well. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but fucking, I just don't. I don't think Leclerc to me has ever seemed to be that driver which will just come to a brand new track and turn it on. Whereas I think Verstappen's got that, hasn't he? That thing where he can find the corners he does well in and drag a couple of tenths out.
If it's absolutely soaking wet, by the way, I'm just going for a Lewis Hamilton win. Because why not?
If it's soaking wet, I'm going for a George Russell win.
Could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to get your predictions in, go to the website and go to the game section and look at the prediction league. You can predict top 3, pole position, fastest lap, how many non-classified retirements, non-starters there are, and if there'll be a safety car or not. Possible spoiler, there's been lots of safety cars so far this year.
Friday and Saturday currently at Miami are thunderstorms. That's Friday and Saturday. And Sunday, rain.
Good. Well, that means we might get a race. The other thing to think is historically, Fernando has always been one of those drivers that adapts to a new circuit very well. And if his car's half decent, and they get some luck, you get some wind blowing in the fucking direction of that car, he might be able to do something pretty cool as well.
Many ducks would have to line up in order for that to happen, but it's not impossible.
No.
I was going to say, it looked like a full-on rotisserie with that many ducks in a line. So you got until 5 minutes before qualifying to put all your predictions in. If you miss that, you can still carry on predicting up to 5 minutes before the race, but obviously you don't get to predict the pole position. Because predicting after something happened is more redicting.
More reading.
If you want to get in touch with us, email address is 3legs4wheels@gmail.com as always, and we're at 3legs4wheels on all the socials. Check out the Discord. There's a link on the website, usually about on chat during the race, and there's all kinds of other stuff going on there at the moment. There's a debate about great Manchester music happening on there at the minute.
Right.
Off of the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, is this because the Stone Roses album is like X amount of years old today?
No, it's been going on for a while. There's even a separate chat room called the Hacienda just for Manchester music.
Oh.
If you want to get hold of us individually on Twitter, our own handles are...
Oh, sorry.
I'm-
I was distracted by work email. At Sean Cowper.
At Flood21.
At A Total Shunt.
And at Pablo100. Right, we'll be back next week and see how Miami goes. And if you're planning on listening to Pitbull, don't do it in my vicinity. See you next week.
You might not have a choice.
It might just
on you.
happen.
He may be forced upon you.
It's like Whamageddon. I want to get through an entire week in the run-up to the Miami Grand Prix free of Pitbull. I know it's not going to happen.
No.
Send thoughts and prayers. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.